Well, what about me? I'm the one in the hospital that needs healing. Who's going to do this for me? You want me to do it for them? Yes. Why? Because it's the way you break your isolation. It's never going to be easy to break your isolation because it's a very ingrained habit. And anyone asking you to do what it takes to break the isolation is going to seem like an unreasonable demand because you have other things to take care of. You have more urgent things, blah, blah, blah. Tain't so. You have only one thing that you need to do, and that is break the isolation. And so if you want healing, be a healing presence, whether you think that it's an opportune time or not. If you want healing, give healing. Because what you give, you get to keep. What you actually really extend becomes yours, becomes embodied. And you know what? Until you wake up, there's always going to be some apparently worthy thing for you to attend to other than what I've just told you to do. There's going to always be some sort of emergency or urgency or strong need that you feel compelled to deal with. But I'm telling you that those things are the result of your having forgotten to say, Father, help. You have forgotten to let something else in. So find an object of your affection and extend love so that you might have love. Continue.
Yes, I appreciate that shift of perception from, I have experienced that. I could be dwelling on something from the past that I have grievance over, and then maybe the phone rings and it's one of my sons, and I'll just instantly, I'm in a state of gratitude, appreciation. So the mind is really fickle in that way. It can shift from one thing to another. I could be totally depressed at one moment and then
but there
very
is
happy in the next.
There is something determining where the attention is going to shift to and whether it's going to do it at this moment. So there is a decider there.
Yeah.
You could have answered the phone, they found out it was your son, and projected all of your negative feelings about the past that you had been ruminating about onto him and ruined the conversation.
Right.
Okay.
Where I have a little bit of a yes but in what you're saying here,
yes,
is affection. If I see something beautiful, I don't have any trouble feeling love and appreciation for it. It just comes spontaneously. But if I see someone who is, the way you describe, say I'm in the hospital and the guy in the bed next to me is in worse shape than me, or maybe not, whatever, I don't want to get into a sort of a self-righteous kind of, okay, I'm going to extend love to this decrepit poor person because I want healing for myself. That's bullshit.
That's right.
I want to be coming from natural, real affection.
You don't want to do any of it yourself.
Right.
What I mean by this is that if you're going to extend love, you're going to have to turn first to the Father and ask the Father to reveal to you what is lovable about this man. What is the truth about this man? And you are going to listen for the Father, just as Paul is listening for me right now, so that you might be infilled with what the Father extends, so that your perspective is changed and automatically embraces that one. And there won't be anything about your doing something for somebody else so that you will get something. I'm just explaining to you that when you do that, something does happen.
Right.
And you get to keep what you have given. And you will never have what you never give. Okay.
Yeah.
I'd want to make sure there is time for anyone else.
Thank you.
Yes?
Thank you, Raj. The answers of some of the other people who've asked questions have already given me some of the answers to my question. But being a father and a brother and a husband, over the last 2 weeks, I've had the chance to enjoy the last lectures that we've enjoyed out of the course. Have been somewhat of a personal tsunami for me because of the personal tsunami of my own with the families that we've
Personal tsunami?
Tsunami.
Oh, tsunami, okay.
Considering what we've just gone through, and I have to wonder how one can bring all these personalities into some kind of agreement, even when I walk with the Course in my hand and my heart.
Why do you have to bring them all into agreement?
That's a good question. There seems to be such a personal conflict and chaos in the family with personalities.
A conceptual one, or
Yeah, there is a strong feature about each personality in my family, and they seem to find the differences, not the commonalities, to allow love in their life, and that makes it hard, from my perception, to try to.
They love rigorous interchange.
They do that. It gives me an opportunity to use the Course in Miracles frequently. But sometimes I think my feet are still on the concrete.
Father, help me neglect to exercise judgment just because I am with those whose rigorousness makes it appear to me that they are expressing more ego dynamics than I, for myself, want to employ. What I'm trying to say to you is that maybe what they're doing isn't all ego dynamics, but just a different way of expressing themselves, sort of a different language of communication than the one you're familiar with, and which, because you're not familiar with it, causes you to feel inadequate, at a loss. I am suggesting that you go within to ask whether or not any exercise of control is needed at all, and if not, how you can be present with it without engaging in judgment, and how can you be with it without feeling threatened by its intensity. to be spiritually aware does not mean to become delicate and unable to withstand vigor.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Over here.
Raj, what's interesting for me is that I'm in a situation in my life right now where it's a relationship that started out as a contractual agreement in that I had some technical work that needed to be done on a project that I was working on, and I didn't have that technical ability, so I contracted someone to come in and do it. And what I thought was going to turn out to be a 3-month project is now going over 10 months. And it's a situation where initially I felt, well, the person's just incompetent. And so I need to just take all my stuff back from them and find someone else. And then I thought, well, and again, I'm giving you the history because for me there was a shift in it, in that, then I thought I beat myself up about, well, I should have had a termination date in the contract. And so I went back, all this operating system number 1 stuff about doing business the right way came up. And then I thought, well, wait a minute, this is a lose-lose situation. I'm not getting what I need from the relationship, and she's not getting what she needs from the relationship. So let me look deeper into this. And then, of course, just by coincidence, we're covering this stuff in the course. And so now I'm saying, okay, now what's the real message? What is she telling me? So I set up some meetings with her at her house with the computer to work on the project. So I could be right there with her, involved in the project as she was. And then I realized that this lady has so many other distractions going on in her life that it's very difficult for her just to sit with the project for any length of time. And so I've been with her now on several occasions to try and move the project along. And I'm still, it's like the first thing I came up with was there's an attention deficit disorder going on here, where she can't really bring her forces to bear here. And then on my side, it was me saying, she's taking advantage of me here, my patience, my resources, whatever. So there was a real charge behind it. And that's what fascinated me about the situation, is that whenever there's that much of a charge behind a situation, I know that there's more meat here to chew on and that I need to go in with it so I could get clear, because until I can get clear, it's not going to move on, or I'm going to have to repeat it again. So that's the point that I'm at now, where it's coming to like, it's the ball's in her court again. She's got to finish this thing up and present me with a finished project, a finished product. And so now I'm being more open and looking beyond the surface than I ever have been with this situation. So I am at that point, like you said tonight, where I'm going, Father, what's going on here? What's the meaning of this situation? But yet at the same time, I don't want to get caught in this situation of, well, I'll give her just one more chance. I'll give her just one more chance. Like, it's like, or the situation of, well, if I really pray hard and be open to the Father, the problem will go away. You see what I mean? So that's my question. It's like, what's the appropriate, okay, now I'm waiting, I'm listening, I'm paying attention. Is that all? Do you stop there? Do you just keep paying attention? Or what's the...
That's exactly what you do. You continue paying attention. The new modus operandi is pay attention, pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. That's called being.
So instead of taking the initiative, it becomes responding appropriately.
Exactly. And responding from a deep connectedness in you to the movement itself, irrespective of personalities, psychologies, mental disorders, or definitions that are out of the past. You be in life ongoingly with innocence.
Which is, I mean, you know, so I'll ask, that's what I'm doing now, right?
That is what you are doing now. But you are still struggling with letting go of some ordering structure or grid to hold the movement up against so that you may judge or a judgment
Progress,
can be made.
yes.
Indeed. And
Yes.
that's,
Silly.
it's the useless stuff that you
Yes.
are learning to let go of.
Right. Because in effect, that says, I mean, holding on to that structure, says, I know the timetable for this particular thing to be done, as opposed to following God's timetable, so to speak.
Now you notice also that you're talking about circumstances, projects, time, etc. We didn't read anything about circumstances, time, projects. We were talking about relationship and the necessity for each of you to be willing to see the Holy Spirit or the Christ in your brother, just as you are learning you have to do with yourself. And to reach for, to lean into, to connect with the Holy Spirit in your brother or your sister. And that you've spoken very little of here. But your attention is in that direction. I simply want to bring it more solidly in that direction. You don't give your attention to the excellence in them so that you can find out how to be in better control or to find out what their problem is. You talk to the Holy Spirit to find out what the truth about them is, so that you, in your conscious awareness of truth about them, are sending out those messengers about them. They will come back reporting what they were sent out to find, which will be confirming of your right intent, but which will also be a blessing for this other one, you see.
See, what I'm experiencing right now is I see this person struggling. Okay, and so like I'm a little bit fixated on their struggle, saying, how can I support this person in their struggle?
What's the definition of struggle? And what degree of struggling? What's the degree of intensity of the struggle?
Right.
This is something you're applying
Right.
to a benign picture. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Now, theoretically, I can, and I say this theoretically, I can see, I mean, I know that this person is a good person. The Holy Spirit
How
is
do
in
you
them.
know that?
Because I can feel it. I mean, I can feel that this person is not a bad person. They're not trying to take advantage of me. They're not, jerking me around. They're doing the best they can.
Yes, but I want you to feel that they're a good person because the Holy Spirit has revealed it to you, and not because you can sense that she fits into a certain structure of definitions.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
I want you to be looking more for an experience than a sense.
Right. But the thing is,
An experience that has been derived from an actual connection with the Holy Spirit.
right. And that's what I'm trying to get at here. That does not come from trying to see it in the other person. It comes from being open and asking to be shown. Correct?
And I'm telling you that you, from your human experience, recognize that she exhibits, let's say, a certain number of criteria that tell you that she's basically a good person, and that's not the same as a direct connection with the Holy Spirit. So I'm pointing you in the direction of going deeper for a Holy Spirit experience, rather than a recognition that certain criteria have been met that allow her to be recognized as a basically good person who's overwhelmed herself for whatever reason.
Right.
Yes.
And the best way for me to receive that is just ask for it and be open to it.
Exactly.
Not doing. There's nothing to do here. It's just
Except ask.
ask.
Step right up to the edge of what you don't know and lean into it with the desire to know
Right.
the truth that
Right.
needs to be known.
Right. At this point, it seems
The
like
truth that heals.
Right. To me, at this point, it seems like that is more important than project completion or project success.
They're so
or-
inseparable, it's not funny.
Right. But what I'm saying is my attention is now on what the real value is. How can I make this connection? How can I see the miracle unfold of
Yes.
this situation?
Exactly.
And then just be with that.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. If we end right now, is there anyone who will go away and be absolutely angry because they didn't speak up? Okay.
Don't be angry.
Just dejected and hurt probably would have been it. I've been kind of fuzzy about the understanding of what extending healing meant. And as everyone's been asking and as you've been talking, I think I've realized that I thought if I extend healing, I would see a change out there. And I feel, affection in here for an object of my affection out there. And then they start to talk, and then they say their complaints or their whatever.
Yes.
And I can't agree with what they're saying, but I haven't known how to offer anything else. I did have
They don't want you to agree. They want a different answer themselves. They want not to have to register that complaint or that perspective. And so you have to listen for what the answer is. Mm-hmm. You have to listen for what the answer is so that you can share that. What's behind the moan? Mm-hmm. What is the truth that makes them feel the illegitimacy of their experience so that they have justification for complaining about the experience? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I did it with a stranger once.
Pardon?
It happened to me with a stranger, and I really leaned in, to my guidance, and I heard, I'll give you a new experience of this person if you don't run away, and we didn't have any words. But I totally received, a miracle and a blessing, and really saw the beauty of them. I find it, maybe I just am not leaning into it as much with people that I know and I'm having a conversation with.
Exactly, like I said, you know them too damn well to think that there is a
Right.
place of excellence in them.
Yeah.
You see, yes.
Okay.
And of course, that's your judgment, and those are the messengers
Right.
you send out. And communication doesn't occur no matter how much talking goes on.
Okay. Because when it happened that spontaneous time, like I had no, agenda for that person having a change in front of me, even though he did have a change. He went from being snarling and everything to being calm. But I think I'm, quote, extending healing to a lot of people around me to change them and to, control the situation or something. And so that's not leaning into the Holy Spirit at all.
Yes. The key here is one of the pieces of gristle. The message your brother gives you is, all capital letters, up to you. If you think there is an ego there and you're listening for an ego to speak, an ego is what you're going to hear, even if they're speaking the utter truth. If they are speaking the utter truth and you recognize the excellence of it because you're expecting an ego to speak, you are going to be suspicious of the motive for such holiness and excellence that's being expressed, and you will not see it. And if they are coming from an ego place and what they are saying is an expression of confusion and misunderstanding of what they are, you, if you are listening for the Holy Spirit in them, will hear what is behind their poor expression so that you can respond to that. But what you hear will be up to you. And that is the key.
Okay.
Now, just because we move on doesn't mean that this chapter should be left behind. Review it over the next few months. Review it. Remind yourself. Because it sets a foundation for the rest of what is to come. Okay.
Thank you.
Was there another question over here? Okay. You are a wonderfully lovable motley crew. I love you greatly. And I look forward to being with you next week.